Hi, good morning. My name is Lisa Dublin. I'm a life coach and a speaking coach. And I am here this morning as part of my 31-day YouTube challenge. If you can, go over to YouTube and subscribe to my Basement Chronicles channel because a lot is happening here. I'm always busy there. So there's lots of live interviews. My podcast is there, all of the things. This morning, I have a very special topic for you. It's something that's very dear to my heart. And it's actually coming out of like just my quiet time with God a couple of days ago. And just this scripture rose up to in me. And I want to just relate it to not just biblical things, but to our profession and to our careers and to the kind of life that we are living, whether it is filled with the things that we really want to do, or are we just coasting along, not really loving our lives, not really doing what we want to do because of fear, because of necessity. Obviously, that's a big one, but ultimately because we are not giving it enough attention. I don't mean to make you feel overwhelmed. I hope that you leave inspired today. Okay, so I was just doing my Bible study and just quiet time with God a couple days ago, and this scripture rose up within me that something about out of your rivers will flow rivers of out of your belly will flow rivers of living water. That if you trust in God, out of your belly will flow rivers of living water. So, as well as being the speaking coach and that kind of thing, I'm also a performance poet. I deal with words, I deal with stories. So, I generate things from within me. So, that scripture has special meaning, not just in the biblical sense, but in the sense of if you are a creator, where are your ideas coming from? And, I always talk about authenticity. I'm big on that. I do believe that the truer you are to yourself and the more connected you are to God is the more stuff that you have to offer the world. And it's almost like it comes from a spring that's within you that just springs forth. I absolutely just love the analogy and being in this space. So I thought today I would relate that scripture to the person who wants consistency in life in any area, to the person who wants a career that they want to wake up to on a morning. I remember when that was like my biggest need and desire to wake up and to love to do what I wanted to do because I really wasn't when I was working in an office. It satisfied the need, an economic need, but little else. Although it did satisfy the need, it taught me how to be very administrative. I must admit, I was forced to learn the job, obviously. Right? So that was one good thing. I want to start with the first point, which is this. When you are in your giftings, in the things that you do naturally, what comes easy for you but is difficult for others, when you put those giftings to a big why, a reason that you exist. And for me, putting my gifts of speaking and writing and coaching to the bigger why, which is to help people to win, it makes for a relentless kind of showing up. There's always more. I'm not tired. I mean, obviously, when I'm tired, I go sleep. One of my favorite hobbies is to sleep, but I'm not weary. Like, I think there's a difference between being weary of something, like you just emotionally tired, mentally tired, and just the normal your body can't take anymore and you need to rest, the normal cycle of your physical body. I think there's a big difference between the two. And I think that when you are in your gifts and you're walking in the thing that you call to do, there's little time for weariness because it's exciting, it's what you want to do, it's creative, it's generating more of itself all the time. That's what I mean. So here's the first point, and I have some examples for you. Your natural gift plus your obedience to pursue it, to hone it, to nurture it, that will result in multiplication. And when you think about it, think of the biggest producers, people who seem to have a font of creativity, who are able to come up with ideas and products and services and stay in a field. It almost seems like they are being obedient to what they were called to do. When you operate in what you are naturally good at, I think you tap into some kind of divine design. because you're doing the thing that you were meant to do. So you can't put me on stage to sing. I'm not going to come back the next day. But give me a mic and give me a camera, I'm good to go. Give me words, give me writing, I can do that. So it seems as if I'm always producing. It's simply that I just know my lane and I'm staying there. What is your lane? What are you called to? What do you do naturally best? What is easy for you to do and difficult for others? You know, if you followed me long enough, you would have probably heard me say this over and over again. I have a great example for you of somebody who has had always been a storyteller, and then she made it her main thing. I'm talking about Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and you must know her. She's Nigerian. She has a powerful is it a TED talk, or she has a powerful talk on YouTube called The Power of One Single Story. And that has generated millions of views. From a very young age, this woman loved telling stories. And she didn't choose the normal beaten path of go to law or go to engineering. She chose to do writing. And today, obviously, her voice is one of the top voices, not just in her nation, Nigeria, but also in America. And I would say globally as well. So, what are you good at? And if you can actually hone in that skill and obey it, that's where multiplication comes. I'm looking at, I'm always looking at life. But philosophically, looking at who's doing what. And there are a couple, I think, prerequisites or markers of success, especially in the field of like having a business, especially an online business, being an entrepreneur, being in the space of streaming. I'm a streaming storyteller. That's part of what I do. I tell stories a lot in how I speak and, you know, presenting that kind of thing. And one of the reasons that is easier to do is because I'm just in my lane. So they say that there are a couple of things you need to watch out for if you want to be the person who's going to make it in this space as an entrepreneur, as a streaming storyteller, that kind of thing. You have to be available. There must be consistency and there must be creativity. You want to be a content creator, you must be available. People must be able to find you and you must make it easy. That's why I come on here very, very, very often. Okay. Then you have to have creativity and you must have consistency. How on earth can these things come together if you don't love what you do? And, you know, I go back to something that a student of mine said a couple months ago. And he said, inauthenticity is going to catch up with you. You know how it catches up with you? Lack of consistency. Because you can't sustain what you don't feel. You can't sustain what it does not come instinctively to you or you haven't built yourself up into. And it's easier to build yourself into a habit if you absolutely love it. There's room for training, there's room for discipline. But what I feel like when I look at like my own business journey, the things that I've pursued and I've kept with, I have absolutely loved. I'm absolutely good at them and I love them. And I don't need any like pick me up, no coffee, no anything to say do this because it just comes naturally to you. So I am really pushing you guys. I'm pushing us as people, as humans to go where there's love in the thing. Go where you do it well. Can't you tell when somebody absolutely loves baking, loves cooking, loves writing, loves creating? You can tell there's a love factor all over the thing. Anyway, I do not want to get I don't want to get ahead of myself, but for that point, there's one question you can ask yourself if you're listening to me today now or on the replay. And wherever you're listening, please let me know. Don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe to this live stream, whatever. Okay. I actually got a little emoji right there. Please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Everybody, don't forget to subscribe. Okay. So the question you can ask coming out of this point that I just tried to explain right there is this: what do I do effortlessly that others struggle with? That's a more elegant way of saying what is easy for you to do and difficult for others. No, seriously. Then you don't just take it wholesale or raw. Then you have to figure out what in that talent is a pain point for people. because I could fall asleep very easily and other people have trouble falling asleep. Okay, so how is that a need in people? Is that even a need? So it's not just a direct kind of relationship between what is it it's easy for me to do and then it just goes to market. You have to find the pain point in it. For the longest while, I didn't realize the pain point that I solve where speaking is concerned is speaking with confidence, is being able to open your mouth and not in a sense not care what other people think, but to stand your ground and have your own opinions no matter what other people say. And my platform's getting bigger, so obviously there's more pushback now. And I've had to live the thing that I teach. That if you think you have a voice and you have something to say, and you have a responsibility and a right to say it. And I think that that right comes with the expectation that there will be pushback. Actually, in one I did when did I do this live? Was it Saturday or Sunday? When we looked at the quotes. I think it was yesterday, perhaps. No, yesterday was a little scattered. No, that was Saturday. Saturday was the really, really good one. The live on Saturday, we went through some quotes, some, just sayings that really appealed to us. And there is one that I have in my quote bank. I don't know if I said it on Saturday, but basically it's like it says this, you can do anything you want, you just have to be prepared for the consequences. No, you can't do anything you want in this world, but you just have to be prepared for the consequences of whatever action you take. So it's the same thing. You have the right to speak, and you have to accept that the more you speak out is the more detractors you're going to have, even as you find more of your tribe. Now, here's the second point, which really goes to the heart of the matter, where that scripture I was meditating on came about. Okay. That when you are in your natural zone, you are almost inexhaustible. The image that I have in my head of walking in my gifts and doing the thing that I love that comes naturally, and I'd love for you to put yourself in there as I speak, is that it just keeps on filling up from within. Do you find that even as maybe you're a writer, a speaker, maybe you're that person you're a business person in a certain service area, or you're creating as an entrepreneur, you're creating new things in the world, okay? That's different from a business owner. The entrepreneur, that there's a little daring in there, that person is doing new things and loves to see new products and services come out that come from them. So it says that point is about your natural zone. It says that it is almost inexhaustible. It comes like a wellspring from within you. I have words for days. Like, I know a lot of people like me, however, and that's, I think, one of the marks of those very natural speakers. You just have words. And words come from, yes, having had a childhood rich with literacy. That, I think, is one of the biggest gifts we can give our children. That if you want them when they are older to be fluent and to communicate well, immerse them in reading. Like, I'm just going on a major rampage for the summer with my three, no matter how old they are, because I understand words and speaking comes from the ability to read and write, and to do that easily and to be rich in those fields as well is very, very true. So if you are in your gift zone, you never run out of ideas. And there are a couple of logical reasons for that, and perhaps spiritual, I don't even know. But here are the logical reasons. If I'm in my gift, I'm always in a field and I love it. I'm not running away from it. I'm making my bed in that camp. I'm pitching my tent here, seeing what there is to see, seeing how I can make it better, how I can bring other people in, what I can do with that raw material that feels so attractive to me. I feel that way for speaking and the kinds of things that I will see. I'm always looking at life through the public speaking lens. looking at what people are doing and how are they showing up when they communicate. I guess I'm in one of the easiest fields in the world because speaking is all around us. Everybody's always talking. So there's always raw material. But I would not be able to access any of this if I had not first decided, hey, I love this. This is me. This I do easily. I can help people to do. It might be difficult for others, but I think I've cracked the code and I can teach other people to do it. So, in your own natural gift, you will find an inexhaustible font of stuff, of creativity. There's always something else to do. I think perhaps when we look at what Steve Jobs has done with Apple, that's a very good idea. Of course, he's not the only person who was there even in the beginning, but a lot of the the genesis of these ideas came from that mind. And so it's like, what was the raw material that he was working with? And obviously, we can definitely say that it works. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this is giving you value. Please also share the video. So, here's something else. When you see somebody who's in the gift, there's a very simplistic way of putting it that I have, but that's okay. I heard in a seminar on the weekend that the more simple you are, the better you communicate. In fact, they said they did a study of all the American presidents, and they said that Donald Trump has a fourth grade level of communication. Now, I say that with objectivity, because you next have to follow that statement up with, because of or in spite of this fourth grade kind of communication level, why is it that he seems to be one of the most effective presidents? The message he gets across, we might not always agree with it. I, like a lot of other people. However, from a communication perspective, does this man communicate effectively? It is a resounding yes. When you communicate, you get a certain message across the way that you want it to the audience that you are targeted. And many times he hits that, so many times, a lot more than the bureaucrats, a lot more than the seasoned politicians. And of course, that's part of his charisma. Okay. So my simple way of looking at when you are in your field, I was talking about how simplistic in my head it is you see a family of products and services, of ideas, of issues surrounding the gifting. So, or you see that person, let's give a good example. I'll stay in communication because we have such great examples of people who've taken their gift of communication and they've extended it to, like, let's look at TD Jakes, for example. Do you know who that is? TD Jakes is a renowned preacher, pastor, writer, spoken word artist as well, I believe, but he is in the field of communication. What has he done with that love affair with words? Books, podcasts, live streams, sermons, all of the things. He's written like spoken word books as well. I think there are a couple scripts that he has also written. That love affair, that natural gifting for words and communication, he has turned into a virtual empire. You can do the same too in your own giftings. But I don't want us to ever ignore the fact that we're not all the same, and that is a wonderful thing. That means there's room for you at the top. Look at your own gifts. What are they? What is easy for you to do and difficult for others? And then you sit down to do the hard work, or not the exciting work. Let's reframe. Sit down to do the exciting work of, wait a minute. So if this is what I'm good at, what can I do with it? Where can I fit it in? Can I apply it to? Can I modify? Can I amplify? Can I, that Scamper model? There's a model called Scamper, Scamper. I forgot what each one of the letters stands for, but it is a way of taking one idea and making something new. You can modify it, you can amplify it, all sorts of different things. You could add, subtract. All of the letters stand for an action that you can take maybe to a very mundane idea or product or service, to modify it and to make it better, to make something different, fresh, new, etc., something that is yours. And of course, that all comes from your own orientation, if I might say. I feel very passionately about this. I feel very passionately about helping people to get into their gifts, because it's you take off so much easier. Life becomes a lot more enjoyable, and I think more qualitative when you are operating in the thing you were called to do. What my most recent example of this is a student who came into the Speak with Confidence, already a PhD, in the social sciences. And when she began speaking, every speech was about parenting. You're going to meet her soon. She's going to come on the program with me in a couple of weeks. We've already planned it. And it's the way she began to speak about her chosen field of parenting. It was so clear that there was something there. You know how they say, is there any there? Yes, there was. And she just continued along that path. Although she had that background, had done all her studies, and she had this storied career, as a social scientist, the new thing that she set her sights on was on positive parenting. Like, who would have thought the two things would ever come together? They really haven't. It's just a pivot away that life is allowing her to do. So now this PhD, now she's applying her expertise and her research mind to looking at positive parenting. Now she's a parent, has always been very enthusiastic about raising children a certain way. That's where her heart is. And a quote that really strikes me is, anything that is not from the depth in you is not going to reach the depth in other people. Might as well stay where you're gifted, because that is when that fire within you is going to touch other people. If it's not there, it's going to be as insipid as the next person. You will find yourself being the kind of person who's going to be reading your mission statement from the computer screen or from Chat GPT. My God, what an existence. But a lot of us do that. But the thing that you want to do should come rise from the surface. You should have no problem being able to say it. And if you do have a problem, it's perhaps because of the audacity of it, not because it's so orchestrated that it does not come from you. No, there's a problem there. So we were talking about just when you are in that natural zone that it's inexhaustible. A lot of us are weary because we're in the wrong lane. Hmm? We're running the wrong race. We have the wrong clothes on. That it reminds you of the story of David and Goliath. So when he was going to fight Goliath, oh, they put on Saul's armor on him. And David, who had had so much freedom, expressing himself in success as well, killing all the bear and the everything, he said to them, wait a minute, take off this armor, because I can't move in it. It doesn't fit me. It's not for me. This is not of me. And a lot of us are in jobs, in situations, pursuing things that we don't like. And if you put yourself in the shoes that fit, and my big analogy is always this: I have size 11 feet. Being in the wrong space, job, well, in any situation, I have size 11 feet. And to put size 11 feet in a size 9.5 shoe is pure hell. That's sometimes how it feels, being in a job that doesn't fit you, or in friendship circles that no longer serve you, or in spaces that no longer fit who you are or who you are becoming. You need to get out, and you need to do the thing that, instinctively life is saying to you, this is what it is. I think you'll know it. Success leaves clues, they say, and even from young as well. Sometimes you can see what you were meant to do. Is that not true? Now, here's something else that happens. Do you know, because you love something, you will naturally want to do it over and over again. I think that is fair to say. And yeah, fourth grade language today, even though, doesn't even matter, being educated or whatever. Let's just get the message out. There's a natural logic to, I love this. I'm going to keep on doing it. Something happens when you stay in one field. You gain depth, you gain experience in there, you gain insight. Also, because you are there so much, there are things that I was thinking about this morning. I don't know that there are some things you just have to come upon by journeying with a topic, journeying with a career, journeying with a thing. It just comes upon you because you alight on it as you journey with maybe even a provider or content creator. When you're following somebody, the twists and turns, the bumps, the inclines, the hills, the peaks behind the curtain, you can't fast forward through a video to get to that. You just simply have to journey with that person along the way, and it just alights whenever it does. And what I find is, if you stay in your field, the nuances of, oh geez, the nuances of your industry, your career, your chosen path, when you start to spend time with that thing, for me it's speaking. And I wrote an article last week about the Kairos moments, and that's one of the things I believe that just alighted. It just sprung from journeying with this field of speaking and helping people and being present when you see things come together magically in a speech. Has that ever happened to you? Like you feel the magic. One of the moments for me, let me tell you very quickly, I love to speak about speaking. One of the moments for me was just uh, one time I was presenting. This was during the pandemic, and it was one of the rare moments, perhaps on the tail end of it, maybe 2021, they're about 22. And we happened to have like a Black Student Association, like it was here in Edmonton, so it was in person. And one of the Kairos moments for me that I teach my students as well to watch out for, that's how you know when your speaking is making an impact. You guys, we were in a large hall, very informal, speaking to lots of students. I was at the front and I was really going in about, don't let life tell you that you are just here to be tolerated. You are to be celebrated. You are not a mistake. You are not a threat. You are loved. You are whole, you are healed, all of the great things that our Black babies need to hear. In fact, everybody needs to hear, let's face it, okay? And something happened while the students were, some of them were crying, visibly crying, and the providers, the caterers were coming in, bustling in with the food. I'll never forget that moment of looking across and seeing them put down their trays and stand up to hear what I was going to say. It was, I think I bore the weight of the moment more than the, oh my gosh, look at me, everybody's looking. No, it wasn't even about that. I'm past that. I'm called to serve as a speaker. That's what you're called to do. So I'm way on that path, and I teach my speakers to be that. You are called to serve, okay? You are called to serve. That's what it is. And to see them set the trays down and to listen to what I was saying, it made me know I was having an impact. It also made me aware that those kinds of moments, if when you speak, you feel it, your audience and environs, they will feel it as well. So that it was from experiencing those things, being a speaker along the way, 20 something years as a speaker, that you come upon the concepts that are bigger than the industry itself. For me, Kairos moments is one of those things I feel like I'm adding to, although I've seen other people speak about it. So I'm not adding that thought, but it's the way that I go about explaining it and teach people to look out for them. And one thing I honestly do is, like, I pray for these moments because you cannot recreate, you cannot orchestrate them. I think you just absolutely need to be ready for the moments when who you are just comes in line with what you want to present, and an audience that's ready to receive it. So I haven't even finished my points here about why exactly you should be just walking in calling, because that is when things spring from within I have not finished my points, but I think you get the idea. I'd love to end with actually a scripture that bears out in our professional lives as well, that your gift will make room for you and bring you before kings. Where is that expressed professionally? It's the same reason that you pay more for a specialist than you do a GP. The specialist, the person who's gifted, who is skilled in that area, has more experience and therefore commands a bigger price. So, who will pay a bigger price? That's the kingly kind of thing we're talking about. So, the price for the king is not the price for the person who lives in the suburbs. Let's put it that way. So, that is the analogy that if you pursue the thing you were called to do, you will be able to do it so well that that specialization of expertise will yield you more in the market. I hope this makes sense, you guys. I hope you felt my heart this morning, just in terms of, by all means, pursue what you were called to do. And if you don't know what it is, get in touch. I've got so many tools and resources that help people, including the youth. I have a couple calls planned here in Canada and internationally as well. A couple young people I'll be working with over the summer to help them to kind of get on the path to their own calling. And I'm also doing it with my own boys. Let's see how that goes. Thank you for listening. This is day 23. And we have, I think, 8 more days to go in my 31-day challenge, YouTube challenge. So go over and subscribe over there. Here's the subscribe button right here. Okay. And I'll see you tomorrow, same time, right here. Bye.